Hey everyone, welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk a lot about HTML forms. I will teach you how I know about forms and inputs. This is the way that we can send data to our servers. So it's a important subject, okay? And you must learn if you want to be a web developer because most of the applications have forms, okay? So you need to know how they work and how to build them. And this is what we are going to learn today, okay? So if you like this video, if you learned something with me, please consider to subscribe to this channel. This helps me a lot. And also press the like button. This helps YouTube to share this video to other people that want to learn more about web development, okay? So let's go. Here I have some slides, a little theory about HTML forms, okay? So we're going to learn first the theory, and before that and after that we're going to apply how we learn here in our code editor, okay? So forms in HTML, the definition of forms. Forms in HTML are elements that allow users to submit data to server. So we fill the inputs and send the data to a server. And there we can get this data and put in the database or do something and return some message to the user, okay? They are used in various applications such as login, registration, surveys, and online shopping. So we can have forms to multiple actions, okay? Users often need forms to perform something on our websites. Basic structure of a form. A form is created with the form tag, so we need to wrap all the inputs with this tag. So I wrote here which encloses the input elements. Important attributes include action, the URL where the data will be sent, and method, the type of submission such as get or post. So we need to fill these two attributes here. First, the action is where we are sending the data. This will uh, lead the data to our server, and there we can do what we want with the data, okay? And the method is used to choose what the form will do. So we have two types of methods, get or posts. With these two we can do the same things, okay, but they work with a little difference because get send the data in the URL, so you can see what we are sending through the form, okay, and the posts don't show the data that we are sending. But often we use get for search forms, like when we are getting something from the server, and post when we are just delivering the data to do some action like registering an user, okay? Importance of validation. Form validation is crucial to ensure that the data is submitted correct and secure, so we can apply some attributes to our input tags, and there we can have these validations like required. So if we add the required attribute to a tag, this data need to be filled. If you don't fill that input, the form will not be sent to the server, okay? It can be performed on the client side, JavaScript and HTML, as well on the server side. So we need to add all these barriers to have our software secure, okay? So we need to apply the HTML validation, the JavaScript validation, and the server validation. The most important and where we have the full control is the server side validation. So this is the must-have validation. The other ones are good to have, but all of them, JavaScript and HTML validations, can be bypassed by users if they know a little about web development. they can disable these validations, okay? So, inputs in HTML. There are various types of inputs such as text. So, we have the input tag and we configure the type attribute to these values here, and we can have different inputs, okay? Text for text entries, password for passwords, email for email address, checkbox and radio for multiple selections, file for file uploads. And don't worry, we're going to see all of these values in practice, okay? But it's a good practice to choose the correct value of type attribute, because you can get some validation, or you can get a different type of input just by changing the value of the type attribute. Common input attributes, so we have some attributes that we must fill, okay, and other ones that are optional. So we have the name attribute that identifies the input when submitting the data, placeholder that provides a hint about what to enter, required make the field mandatory to fill, so it's a validation, and value sets a default value for the input. You can use the value for forms that you are editing some data, okay? Labels and accessibility. The label tag associates a label with an input, proving accessibility. So it's a good practice to add labels to our inputs. It's another tag, another element that in most of the cases is above the input, okay? And using labels helps usability, making forms easier to understand and use. So guys, this is it for the theory part. Now let's go to VS Code, apply all of these things on practice, okay? So here guys, I have a GitHub repository that has the code base for this class, okay? We are going just to use this CSS here just to style the application. So it's optional, but you can get it. It is on the description of this video, okay? So I will do the setup with this file here. So let's open the VS Code. So here I have a simple HTML file linking the style sheet that I showed to you with the styles for our forms, okay? But we are going to focus on the HTML so we don't waste time with the CSS. This is why I gave it to you, okay? We are going to write our HTML here in the body, and we start here by creating a form, okay? So you can pause the video and write this little setup, and after that get along and learn the form and input text, okay? But before that guys, I want to recommend you my full HTML and CSS course. It is on Udemy. You have more than 10 hours of classes. You have a lot of projects to do with me, and also I am there to support you in any doubts that you have, okay? So you can grab this course with a special discount that I am doing to people that are watching this video, okay? The link is on this description, this video description, okay? And if you learn something with me here, probably you're going to learn a lot more with this course. So I'm also waiting you there to learn HTML and CSS with me. So now let's back to the form class, okay? I will open this file here on the browser here, and I will put the editor side by side with the browser. So let me first do it. So guys, now we are good to go, okay? I will just hide our files here and write our HTML here on the left side. So first we need a form tag. This is required to create a form, okay? And we need to write or add two attributes to it, okay? The first one is action. is the URL that we are sending the data, so it can be like /register if we are going to register some user. But this is not covered in this video, it's just for you to know. We need a backend, a server-side language to validate, to get this data and, I don't know, put this on our database, okay? The thing is that we are going to do something with that data, okay? And the data is going to be delivered on that route, okay? And also we have the method that we can choose get or post, okay? The most common that you are going to see in projects is post, because it sends the data and don't show the data that is being sent, okay? And with the get, you can see the data in the URL, okay? So it's not cool if you are sending sensible data, okay? But you have use cases for get, you know. You can use it for searches, because in most of the cases, if you paid attention, the website that you visit, when you search for something, the search is here, or the term you search is here in the navbar. So this is done by the get method, okay? But here I will go with the post, okay? But it doesn't change nothing to our tutorial here, okay? So after that, we need the inputs. That is where the user fills the data that he wants to send to our server, okay? We can just create an input tag, and here in the type attribute, we fill with the correct type of the input. So here is for the name of the user, okay? So we can leave as it is with the text value. But we also need some other things to write, like the correct HTML for form and the input tags with the name attribute. This is how we can get the name or the data in the backend, because the values will be sent in a format as key and value, and the value is what the user type in this input, and the key is what is filled in the name attribute, okay? So this is how we can get the data in the backend. So here I want the name of the user, so I can fill with name, okay? But if you see here on the web browser, you just have an input, and you need to clarify to the user what he needs to write here. So we have some resource for that. The first one is the label tag. So we can write here name. So now he knows what he needs to fill, but we can clarify more with the placeholder attribute. The placeholder, like I wrote in this slide, is a hint to the user. So now I can write something like enter your name here. So now he explicitly knows how, what he needs to fill there. You know, he can't do mistakes with these two descriptions. So he knows exactly what he needs to fill. But if you paid attention here, we also had another attribute in the label tag, the for attribute, and this attribute needs to be filled with the value of the name attribute, because they are bound, they are linked. So we need to do like this: for name, 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 okay? And okay, it's cool, we can fill our data here, we can write my name or your name, but how we send this data? This is done by the submit input. So this is another core element. This is the way that we can send this data to the server. So we have the submit button, and we can create this button with the input tag, but we change the type to submit, and we also need to add an attribute with the name of value, and here in value we write what we want to show in the button. So we can write like send form, and now the button is created with the text that is on the value attribute. And if we write something here and we click in the button, the form is sent. Okay, but we don't have the backend, so we receive an error here, but this is what all the forms do. Okay, except the error that we are getting here. But if we're back here, we're back to our form, and other way that we can achieve the same thing, but with the button tag, is by adding a button tag, okay, with the type of submit, and now we can write the text here inside the tag, or between the opening and the closing tag, like here. Okay, so it's the same thing, they both work the same way, and you can choose what you like more, or I don't know, if you have a tech lead or a boss that wants some approach, you can follow that approach, okay, but both approaches work the same way. They all send the form to the server. Okay. I also talked about validations. We can add an attribute here with just the name of that required. So if now I try to send the form, it warns me. It shows that I need to fill that field. So before I send, I need to fill the field. And when I click the send form, the form is sent. Okay, so this is an HTML validation. And after this input, we can add new inputs by starting with the label. Okay, so if I want to ask the user email address, how can I do this? I will create the label tag, I will create the input tag, but here in the type I will change to email, and I also add the name attribute of email, and the placeholder attribute with type your email address. So now we have an input for email. Okay, but if you see here, nothing changes, just the type. And what are the advantages of changing or choosing the correct type? So some types will change validations. So now we can trigger an email validation by filling here with some data and trying to send. Now he asked me for a correct email address with the @ symbol and the domain. Okay, so this is a valid email address for HTML. So we earn a validation, okay? But there are some other types that change how the input works. We can see this behavior with the password attribute. So now I will ask the password for the user, okay? And the type will be password, the name will be password, and we can also write a placeholder like choose your password. And here we now have a different behavior, because when we start to fill, we can't see the characters, okay, because it protects the user, it gives more privacy to our website, like showing that we are not letting other people see what he's typing. Okay, so this is why we need to choose the correct type of inputs. We also have another tag for longer text, because here we have just one line to fill the text. Okay, so it's okay, we can fill whatever we want. Okay, but if we need to go back to add something, this is not the best input for longer text. Okay, because we're going to have trouble when we try to see how we type it. So to solve this, we have the text area. So it's another input, it's not an attribute. Okay, so we need to create that tag, and we can create labels for it, like if we are asking for the user to leave us a message. So I will create a label, I will add the message attribute here, I will add a placeholder of write your message here. Now the user can see what he's typing on multiple lines, and also he can adjust the height here by just dragging this little arrow down. Okay, and now we have a better visualization of what are we typing. Okay, so when we have some field that we need the most characters that the user can type, like we want him to type a lot, we deliver to him a text area. Okay, we also have some inputs for choose an option. So we have the radio buttons and checkboxes. So we use radio button when we want that the user selects just one option. Okay, so like the gender, we have just one gender. Okay, so how can we ask the gender to the user? So I will add a division of preference and ask for the gender, and here we can have an input of type radio, and I will add a name of gender and a value of male. So now when the user clicks on this little circle here, he is choosing his gender. Okay, just let me wrap here in a div. Okay, but he can't see what he is choosing, right? So what we need to do? Add a label. So we add the label of male. So now he knows what he needs to fill or choose here. But if you see here, we have the for. What you will probably do is here is copy this gender and write here. Okay, but when we are using the radio buttons, we use the value, okay, and not the name, because the name will be repeated in the other checkbox. Like here, if you have female here also, and here we're going to have other. So we share the name attribute in all of our radio inputs because we can only choose one. Okay, like this, we can choose two genders. And if we have a different name value, like if we are going to add the value as the name, the user can select two options. So because the name bound all the radios and let you just select one, we need to repeat the name in all of the radios. Okay, and use the value as the name in the for attribute of the label tag. Okay, this is a specific rule of the radio buttons and also for the checkboxes. Checkboxes are work the same way as the radio buttons, but they let you choose more than one option. So checkboxes, one or more options. Okay, and how we create them? We add an input tag with the type of checkbox, and we use the same strategy as before. The name is the thing that the user is choosing, like the interests. So you can have multiple interests. I will just add a paragraph here just to separate the sections. Okay, and in the value we add the interests. And like the radio button, we don't have a text, so the user can't know what he is going to fill. So we add a label with the value of the input as we are doing in the radio buttons. So now he can see it, and we create more options. We repeat the name and change the values, like here sports, and I'm doing here with the lowercase because I have some styles on the CSS that just work with the lowercase. Okay, and here I will write travel. And now if you see here, we can choose multiple options. So we have cases for both of these approaches. You just need to know the strategy that you are going to use in your form. You need to know how the user needs to fill the data to make sense to your application. Okay, kind of looking kind. And we also have the select inputs. So we can choose one option, and we have the list that shows the options. Like this, we're going to make the user select his city. So we add a label, we add a select tag, the name is what he's selecting, so the city, okay? And here I will have some options that he can choose. But the first one, we leave the value blank because it will work as a placeholder. Like you can see here, it doesn't have value. He just needs to know what he needs to select. So the other ones, we'll write the value, like here. I will give him some options with some cities of Brazil, okay? We write the value, the name of the city, okay? So we can copy and paste. And now, if you pay attention here, you can see that we have the cities as the options, and we can select that. So it works like the gender, okay? You can just select one, but here the options are all visible, and here you need to click to see the list, okay? So we also have some attributes that were added in the version 5 of HTML. So we have the date attribute, so we can ask for, I don't know, date of birth. And we create an input with the type of date. We don't need here a placeholder because it will change the layout. No, so when the inputs change the layout that you are of the page, like this, you have a date picker, you don't need to write a placeholder. So here we can type the data, or we can select the data with this calendar here, okay? We also have something similar to this, but for time. So contact time, here I will write preferred contact time. I here have a typo. The type is time, and now you have like a clock here to choose the hour and minutes, or you can type. We also have an input for the color, so it will give us a color picker, so you can choose some color here. You can change the color type, like hex, RGB, or HSL. So it will send to the server a color, okay, in the format that we choose. And we also can send files through the forms. We need to add an input with the file type, and here we need to add a label, like for file, select your file, and I can write the name of file. And now if I click here, it will open our Explorer, so we can change some file. So if I choose here a file, it will show its name here, okay? And also we can limit the types that we accept with the accepted attribute. Like if I'm going to accept just PDF and PNG, we can separate them by comma, okay? So like this. And the last thing I want to show to you, it's a button that resets the form. So we just need to add a button and the type of reset. So if we fill here the form with some data like this and click in this button, all the infos are erased. Okay guys, so this is it for today. Here we have 90% of what forms can offer to you, but the other types, the other tags are almost the same, they work similar to this that we saw today, okay? And if you learned something, if you like this video, please press the like button, subscribe to this channel, it is very important to me, okay? And you receive the YouTube alerts of our new videos. We have a lot of course here that you can watch right now about HTML, CSS, Flexbox, Grid CSS. We are creating and sending a lot of videos about HTML and CSS. And I also want to recommend you again my complete course at Udemy. The link is on the description. You have a special offer for being watching this video, okay? So I'll wait you there to learn more about HTML and CSS. So guys, this is it for today. Hope you learned a lot about forms and see you in the next video. Bye bye.